Just got done watching the new Devil May Cry series and it was absolutely phenomenal. I enjoyed every single action sequence. I enjoyed the nonsense of it. It was very highly actionized. It was hyper stylized. I love it so much. Many people don't know this, but I've been playing Devil May Cry for quite some time. When I was younger, I had the choice between choosing Devil May Cry 3 and Monster Hunter. I chose Monster Hunter. My dad got Devil May Cry 3 Dante's Awakening regardless, and I loved every instance of the zaniness and nonsensical beauty of what the show was. The show, to me, captured a small essence of what Dante's true character was. Now, it was definitely not canon to anything in the actual video games, but it branched off in its own little story to tell a compelling narrative. And I deeply, and I mean this with my whole chest, deeply enjoyed every single bit of whatever story they were trying to tell. I shed tears. I felt amazing. There will be spoilers when I talk about this. I just want to say that right now. So it felt like the anime was making a bunch of allusions and references to everything within the game series, and that was really fun. I like the episode 2 scene where Dante goes and he's shooting with a bunch of other people that are shooting at him, and he says, "Who are we shooting at, guys?" That was beautiful. Everything about him, the zaniness, the goofiness, the wackiness, felt very modernized, and the modernization is beautiful. Now, I have not seen any online opinions of the show just yet, so I'm going to give my initial thoughts before I go online and check the spectrum of everything. Show to me 8.5 out of 10, maybe close to a 9 out of 10, simply by virtue of how beautiful it was. I feel like the action sequences, it was very well animated. There was no down dips. Even the CGI looked great. The CGI of some of the demons looked outstanding. Agni and Rudra made cameo appearances in the show. That was so cool. Well, not cameos, they're main villains in the entire show. We got Nilo and Angelo. We got that one poison woman you fought that one time, and then we got the White Rabbit, who is a very compelling and nice enemy, giving the very stereotypical nonsense that villains do within shows, just the stuff you don't really care about, the gobbledygook and the nonsense, the stuff you don't really give a damn about. But I gave a damn about the character because they dedicated basically an entire episode, near wordlessly explained the backstory of the White Rabbit, and it was beautiful. I began to shed tears. I began to actually get emotionally invested within this character, and it's a good idea to do that, changing the backgrounds and characters of certain things. It doesn't follow the game one-to-one, but I feel like only really dedicated fans, me included, would actually really care about anything of that variety. I do want to point out, though, before I even go online and check anything, I do want to state that they didn't capture Dante's character correctly, if that makes sense. They didn't capture his character in the way that they should have captured the character. I'll have to describe it. I have a few examples here to give you a fun example of what I'm talking about. So let's take Devil May Cry 3. Right, this is a scene from Devil May Cry 3. In Devil May Cry 3, he is not cringy, but cringe. He's lame without being lame. He's hyper stylized without saying swear words. He's just saucy. He has aura, if you could possibly get an idea of it. He eats pizzas. He's goofy. He's like a really hyper stylized idea of what a teenager would have an idea for a really cool character. What a teenager would say is a cool character, he is that. And this is the beautiful thing about him. He's keeping his pizzas and doing his stuff. He's getting hit. He's doing all these things where he's doing choreographed nonsense. It feels beautiful. I love everything about that. Even with blades inside of him, he's walking away and going crazy. And this is beautiful. He's always been a less goofy Deadpool-esque character, playing with demon heads, playing around, making sure his music is being played, the dragging of the feet along that, just the goofiness and silly antics of the Capcominization, because Capcom has a very silly antic level to it. And people, if they don't know Dante, should probably see this beginning scene. It gives so much depth to his character about how he is seemingly always in control and talking and saying super goofy things, even when he's messing up. And that didn't start right there. It's like, oh, didn't work. And he's just such a hyper stylized and strange character. Boom. He breaks it to get it started. Get the party started. That's the kind of character that Dante is. And to understand Dante's character, we have to understand the person who made Dante. Now, he didn't make Dante what he is in Devil May Cry 3, but he made him what he was in Devil May Cry 1. But Hideki Kamiya, he actively worked on Bayonetta. He worked on Beautiful Joe. He worked on these games, and with Beautiful Joe characters in that variety that work like that, we have to understand that Beautiful Joe is kind of like a movie nerd that turns into a guy that says "Henshin to Go-Go baby" and is really excited about the Super Sentai series and things of that variety. So he's used to making characters that are overly lame but also really cool. characters that border on the edge of cringe and lame, and they snort that line. That is the characters that he makes in his totality. He also made Bayonetta. Hideki Kamiya made Bayonetta, but the responsibility of what we consider to be the common Dante nowadays is Itsuno, the person who made Dragon's Dogma 1 and Dragon's Dogma 2. He worked on Devil May Cry 3. He made the hyper stylization of Dante. He initially began work as the director on Devil May Cry 2, but wasn't given enough time, so that's very important to talk about his repertoire of his game thing. He also made Power Stone 2 and Rival Schools, which are very good games, very good fighting-esque games. But he enjoys hyper stylization. He took Dante into the hyper direction of what it is, and to fully understand what I'm talking about, what the show did, I can only use a character that you may not know of. Let's talk about Sora. So Sora, when he sees Baymax in Kingdom Hearts 3, he says this. I'm just gonna play this scene right here so you guys can understand what I'm talking about.
Got it.
Oh, cool! That's a robot!
Hello, I am Baymax, your personal healthcare companion.
Oh! Wow!
Okay, so you see Sora's reaction there. Sora has traveled through space. Sora has been wildly powerful. He is basically a wizard with a key. He is insane. He's seen robots before, active robots that don't want to harm him. This feels very out of character for Sora. This is dialing up Sora's character to one level above where it's supposed to be. Sora's character isn't supposed to do this. Sora is supposed to be a aura character. He's supposed to be a cool teenager in that essence. He has literally traveled through space. He has fought against the overwhelming force of darkness. In Kingdom Hearts 2, he fought against an entire army by himself, mind you, fighting against 1,000 nobodies. He's been going crazy, 1,000 heartless essentially. He's been going nuts. This is very out of character for him. There's another instance in the game where he's in the Pirates of the Caribbean world doing that as well, but I don't want to talk about that. The important thing and aspect is the fact that that's not the character. That's what the anime feels like. They're taking his character and making him one octave too far, as if they don't understand what makes the character so endearing. They make him cringe. Remember when I talked about Deadpool and how he was Deadpool but with a bit less Deadpool in him? He's now just Deadpool in the anime. That's the only real complaint I have in totality. I'll give another example of what I'm talking about here when it comes to this ending scene from No More Heroes 2. Now, if you don't know what No More Heroes is, No More Heroes Travis Touchdown is what I would describe what Dante is, period. So let's explain this right here. We see the ending scene of this fight of No More Heroes 2. In the game, you're supposed to kill the other person. They're assassins killing each other. And the battle ends right about here. And Ryuji right there falls to the ground. Boom. This was a very heartfelt battle between two warriors. And Travis Touchdown says, yes, I did it. He's super excited. He won. He won the battle. That's super exciting for him. And this agitates Travis Touchdown. Stop. What are you doing? He deserves a warrior death. Like, why you beat him? Just take him down. He had nothing left. Just take him out. You warrior. You gun him down like a thug. That's important to Travis Touchdown's character. He's very endearing. But despite that, he has moments where he does goofy nonsense such as this. And throughout the entire game, to save in the game, he's pooping and doing all these over-the-top zany things in the game. He's going a bit sicko mode and psychotic. And even in certain moments, he breaks through the fourth wall and gets a little crazy. It's game time, things of that variety. That is living within his character. He is doing over-the-top zany nonsense in that aspect. And that's something I enjoy. I really do. So that's very important. So yeah, and I looked up who voiced Dante in DMC 3 because I was realizing the voice was different. Actively, I recognized immediately that it was Johnny Young Bosch that was voicing. It was the voice of Ichigo and the voice of... Johnny Young Bosch has a lot of good characters. He's a Black Power Ranger, a great voice actor overall, an amazing character, voice actor in totality, and I love him deeply. Now I'm going to go on the internet for 2 hours and see what the complaints are to see if my complaints are any way different. Oh, by the way, Lady. I didn't hate Lady. I like Lady. Same issue with Dante for Lady. It was as if they took the character and turned her up a few octaves. She seemed to be an entirely different character than what she is in the games, and she seemed to be more endearing in the games and more ironic to that character, if that makes any sense. She is... I'm trying to find a way to phrase this. The character in the show feels like a little bit of a caricature of what the games portrayed Lady to be, if that makes any sense. That's how it felt. So that's what I'm going with, and now I'll be back. Bye. So I just came from online and I discovered that people don't like Johnny Young Bosch's character because he voiced Nero in Devil May Cry 4, but I think I'm only getting complaints from the older fans that actively know the series. Same as I predicted, just people upset. And I was right that people were upset that Dante's character feels off. They compared him to Deadpool, but that's kind of been Dante's character. If somebody didn't play the games or more so wanted to make Dante more endearing to people nowadays, they would have to turn him up to an octave. And I completely understand why they did that, but to people that are dedicated fans to the series, this would be deeply an issue. To me, not that much. I'm not a big hater. I'm not gonna say this is ruined. Dante's ruined. Dante's ruined. No, I think it's a great way to do his character overall. I think the direction he took the story was great. I think a lot more people can digest the character even without the subtle nuances. And with Madhouse's anime, the anime that was done by Madhouse prior, that was a big issue where people that were watching it didn't understand Dante's character that well because he didn't feel as goofy. But to get people onto your show, same with the Castlevania series. That's why the Castlevania series has a lot of love from not Castlevania fans, but people that like Has Been Hotel. To put it bluntly, people that like Has Been Hotel deeply probably love the Castlevania series without a shadow of a doubt. Reason being is because the beauty of the Castlevania series is that it's written as if a Tumblr girl wrote the series. That a Tumblr girl that really likes vampires is how the Castlevania series is written, if I could put a nice little tight bow on top and tie it together. The new Devil May Cry felt like exactly that, as if the cringy kids got the chance to write the show and they put all their cringy humor within it. But to be quite real with you, it's endearing. It's able to target the bigger audience because those cringy kids are now the people that consume the most media, and they're going to be your bottom dollar for how you watch shows and enjoy shows of that variety. I love the show, but I'm seeing a lot of people have a lot of discourse about the voice actor and how they portrayed Lady. This is a good portrayal of a Lady-esque character, at least in an AU, an alternate universe. This is a great way to portray that character, and I've seen people complain about Virgil. Now, I hope the show has a second season because we don't know Virgil's integrity. People are complaining Nilo Angelo was a beautiful character because there was no voice lines. You just know you were killing your brother in the first game. Beautiful. That was amazing. Yeah, I think that was great. In gameplay, it's beautiful, but for the sake of the story, not everybody has played Devil May Cry 1. People may just be picking up the series to test it out and see what's going on. People aren't going to care about those small little nuances, but I can deeply understand why you care about the beautiful significance of what the first series did, about what the first Devil May Cry did, and how beautiful that was, and how it coalesced, and how the gameplay fit into the narrative, because it's the perfect example of showing and not telling. That's a beautiful thing the first game did. A bigger complaint too, I didn't even notice this, Dante didn't use devil arms. Now that is a huge complaint. I understand that. I'm not sure if the Madhouse anime he had that much when it came to devil arms, but it would have been nice to see him use Agni and Rudra's blades, or at least switch between them, because that's a huge part of Dante's character, at least in the video game, is taking these devil and demonic things and getting devil weapons and devil arms from them. That's a huge part of it. Even the showcases, I enjoyed the silliness and antics of the show, though. I think the show is worth the watch. I would recommend watching it. I give the show a B+ grading, 8.5 out of 10, 8 out of 10 more so than anything. It's a great show to watch for some silly goofy fun. Really short series, only 8 episodes. You get done probably in an afternoon. It's really nice. I love seeing that series get treat and done good. Was it done right? That's very debatable. I don't believe it was done correct in all aspects, but to appease the die-hard fans and to make it digestible for the modern audience is an impossible task. That is not going to happen. That may never happen, because appeasing to the bigger audience that compels the entire narrative is going to be difficult. Dante's character, to me, because I played the games, I played Devil May Cry 1, I played 3, I played 4, I played 5, I did not play the reboot, and 2 isn't a game. So the character fell off in that aspect. This is possibly a younger Dante. He doesn't even know he's the son of Sparta, and in Devil May Cry 3 he learns all of this. This is a reimagining of Devil May Cry 3 Dante's Awakening, essentially, where he doesn't have his whole thing yet, and Enzo giving him the deals and jobs. I do love that. Enzo was in the games as well. I do love the fact of Enzo in general, because Enzo was a Bayonetta character as well. I am sad that Enzo passed in the show. That was very sad. I told you there's gonna be spoilers, so don't be complaining in the comments about, oh, you said it was spoilers and blah, 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 blah. But I do appreciate the show overall. I think if you played the Devil May Cry games and you're looking for more Devil May Cry content while we're maybe waiting for Devil May Cry 6, or you really care about the games, I would deeply support the show. I would support the show so we can get more media and maybe even voice your concerns or make a video yourself talking about what you don't like about the show. That would be beautiful. If we can get more people behind the show at least talking about it, that'd be beautiful. Maybe we can get a No More Heroes show. I doubt we're ever going to get that because that's something I deeply want. Maybe we can get Anarchy Reigns back. That'd be cool. Maybe we get Urban Reign back. That'd be nice too, but we're never going to get those games back because those games relied on a very niche kind of style. The same style that I see present in games such as God Hand. If you don't know what God Hand is a good example of what this entirety nonsense is. God Hand is a beautiful game. The gameplay of it is very strange. It's that same Reign. If you don't know what Anarchy Reigns is in that same vein of how the hyper stylization contributed deeply into it. It was a game that came on Xbox 360. All the characters are very over the top. It was a beautiful game, and I loved every second of it. Very hyper stylized. They even had a cameo from Bayonetta as DLC within the game. I paid for that with Xbox 360 Microsoft points. I paid for that. I went to my local 7-Eleven to buy this, and it was very nice to be able to play as Bayonetta. I loved games like this back in the day because they felt like they were in their niche within a niche, because Capcom itself back in the day felt more like a niche, but then they had Clover Studios creating games in that variety that felt like a niche in that capacity as well. I enjoyed every second of it, and I think the new Devil May Cry anime is really good. So tell me your complaints about the anime. Tell me what you loved about the anime. I thought it was great. I loved every second of it, but I'm always curious to hear people's thoughts about that in the totality. So yeah, just enjoy the song that we picked out to end off the video on. So bye.
I'm your nigga night, be my loyalties low. Ooh, happy to try what you need.
Your world, I love to live in it.
Ooh, I love the ride when you're free.